Hey, I'm very excited to get a chance to talk to you again. I think when your most recent album came out was the last time we spoke, so probably about a year ago or so since we had our last interview. I have had a chance to check out your new box set, and it's incredible.
It's nice. Yeah, I had so much fun putting it together. And it's like, I maxed out the capacity of the CDs, and it's 56 songs. My favorite songs, but there are more songs like in the archives waiting for being maybe on the volume 2. Let's see, but at first I just want to pick like my 20 favorites for best of, and there was 30, and then 40, and then 50, and now it's 56 songs. So
yeah, I know. It was incredible. I was shocked at the amount of material. That you put on there, but ecstatic at the same time because it's great to get that much material and to get those unreleased tracks, to get some live tracks, just some different stuff that I hadn't had an opportunity to hear before. Now you said you still have some other material, so. Do you think there's a possibility then that you will do another album of maybe some unreleased or demo tracks in the future?
Yeah, maybe like it's maybe in the next 2-3 years. But I first want to do a new album. In the middle of doing a new album as well. But I tell you, man, so many years, so many records, and it was hard to decide which song would come on the record. And we did many new versions and live songs, and we worked in the studio on some new versions of these songs which I love so much. So I wanted to put on something special. But I tell you, when I was going through my archives, I found all these cool things. I found old demos which sounded great too, and I found even old demos of my first bands I had before Warlock. I had 2-3 more bands actually. It was a Snakebite and Beast and Attack and then Warlock. And I found all these great demos there, like sometimes really, like sounding great and great song ideas. So I'm sure something will come out in the next couple of years maybe, but first we want to concentrate on a normal, nice new record, and this will come out via Nuclear Blast. And this best of the Magic Diamonds album that's coming out through my own label, Magic Diamonds Productions, because I found my own label that I can put out stuff on the side, like picture discs and some records which are not available anymore I can put out, and and stuff for collectors and for the die-hard fans.
Oh, excellent! You're making me curious now. What else you have in the pipeline there? But it all takes so much time, and I could only put together this best of album because we weren't on tour. Usually I was always on tour and and playing festivals, and now when I thought, okay, everything is getting postponed or cancelled, and I went back into the studio. And because the guys in the band, sometimes we couldn't travel, so we couldn't like spend time all together in one studio. And I thought, I want to go through my archives and see, and maybe putting all the best of. And then I saw all these great songs, and there's tons of material which is unreleased, but I have to clear the rights. So even with my first band, man, I tell you, I don't even know their last name for most of the guys. Oh wow!
Usually they had a nickname, So I first have to see if I can still find them. They're all over the world. So some of them, they gave up music. So they're now lawyers or doctors, and so I really have to see where I can find them. But
so how much time would you say that you put into this, putting this box set together? Research and everything.
I think it was 6 months at least.
Wow.
6 months. Because there's so many songs, and every song had to either be remixed or they're all remastered, but sometimes I had great live versions, and there was always something going on.
either a feedback or, one side of the PA was, not working, and there was always something. And, so we spent 6 months working on it. And, And here, when I worked, sometimes there was a total lockdown, so you weren't allowed to go anywhere. So, so I was listening to all kinds of cassettes or dead cassettes. That was a thing we put so much music on, like in the late 80s, 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had trouble to find somebody who had like a dead player which would still work, because when you don't use these things in a long time, then, they don't work anymore. So I got connected with all like these guys who were like these nerds who were fiddling around in their cellar, I guess it was funny. But I found them, and they didn't talk to me, but they were like, checking out these deck players and deck cassettes. So I thought, man, it's super important, and so there were definitely big operations going on, before you could even hear something. And,
well, excellent job. Yeah, excellent job. It sounds great. It sounds incredible.
Yeah, sounds good. Oh, good. Oh, I will tell my mastering engineer, because that was a lot of work. I think I've never spent so much time in mastering. It was actually weeks. But he said, we got to do it right. And usually when you have one new record and, and then I spent there a couple of days. Usually I always go back to mastering 3-4 times. But anyhow, this time was like, it was a long process. And, and then it was right. And you have to master different for vinyl and different for CD.
Sure.
Because vinyl master, you have to take away a little bit bass or to make it even lower volume, and so I learned a lot. I learned a lot of these tricks and stuff, and
I've been listening to your version of "Breaking the Law" by Judas Priest, which I absolutely love. And I was so glad to see that included on there. And you did that song obviously with Udo Dirkschneider. And it's just such a unique twist. Still true to the original song, but yet you really made it yours. I think the way you did it, and so I just love that song. I love your version of it. So good.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that was my first tour ever in 1986. My first big tour in 1986 with Judas Priest, and Judas Priest was my favorite band. And I tell you, I was so blown away, and it opened doors for us. It was so great. So I always want to say thank you to Priest. And then we recorded Breaking the Law, and actually I was working on this record with orchestra, Classic Diamonds album. And then we had this version. I thought, ooh, this is so nice. And then I thought maybe it calls for a duet. And I was just working with Udo Dirkschneider as well on a song for his album. It was actually, he recorded one song called Dancing with an Angel, and he asked me if I want to, do a duet with him. I said, yes. And I said, Udo, I'm working on this orchestra record. Would you like to do a duet on Breaking the Law? And I knew that, Udo is a big Priest fan as well. And it was actually my second concert in my life. My first one was Whitesnake in 1980. It was so fantastic and mind-blowing. My second one was Judas Priest, and support band was Accept. So I knew that Udo, would like that idea. And then, we did it. And, I think, okay, what's so great? And, it was just that, I wanted to say thank you to Priest for taking us on tour with them. And that time, like the 80s, my God, it was so big, and everything was sold out, the biggest arenas. It was a dream come true. And that was when I quit my job, when we got the Judas Priest tour. And I went to my boss and I said, I'm quitting my job. I was a graphic artist. He said, why? And I said, because we're going to with Judas Priest. He said, what is that? And I said, it's metal. It's the best. It's the biggest. And he said, are you crazy? And I said, no, I got to do it. And I said, you got to check it out. And actually, when we went to play, actually my hometown, we played as well with Judas Priest. And then all my co-workers, my boss, they were standing in the first row. And they were like, wow, they couldn't believe it. But I think I hooked them up with medals, so I think they're probably still medal heads. I hope,
Well, you've been quite an influence. I mean, when I first was aware of you in Warlock, which was where I heard you first,
It's not that women weren't in metal so much, but I mean, because there were bands obviously that were either fronted by a woman or the full band was female. But you really kind of took this to a new level with the leadership, I think, of Warlock, and I think you've been a really big inspiration to. And I hear that often. A lot of female artists look to you, as somebody that kind of was a trailblazer for women in metal. How does that make you feel, these days, to know that you kind of opened the door up for a lot of them to move into that genre?
Oh, thank you so much for these kind words. I tell you, I just did what I felt. I always, went out full force, gave it my all, always tried to, put in 110%, and and I loved music, I love metal, I love the fans, so it was actually, I never even thought of it, like, I just did what I did, and then when sometimes, some musicians came on and said, when we saw you, performing on the tour bus, usually it was the All We Are you, which everybody referred to. And I said, it was a big inspiration. Or sometimes people said, when we saw the video and when we heard All We Are, then we wanted to, form a band, and we picked up a guitar or, became a singer. So sometimes, when people say that, it makes me feel so happy, so good. And I'm just happy when I can give out some positive energy, and when somebody feels inspired or motivated. That's so great. That's so great to hear. And I heard it even from guys, from men as well. And I thought, that's so nice. So to me, metal was always, I think it was above that all. If you're a man or a woman or wherever you come from, when you have metal in your heart, then, your heart is in the right place, and you do what you do what you love, and I guess sometimes it's great to have people you feel inspired by. I was so lucky I could even tour with all my heroes. I like Judas Priest, my God, Rob Halford, he was my biggest inspiration, and then the next tour was Ronnie James Dio, when we toured in Europe with the All We Are, with the Triumph and Agony album. It was so great. We became friends, and Lemmy, he was another hero of mine, and we were like best friends, and I loved him so much, and I miss both of them so much. Dio and Lemmy, they were my best friends in my life, in my musical life, but that is my life. There's nothing else going on. So and I was so lucky, and I'm so grateful. And if I can give out something positive to somebody else, I'm a happy camper. Yeah.
Well, last time I spoke with you, we discussed, I think, a little bit about, you were talking that you never got married or had children because of your dedication to music, to the metal scene. But I'm curious to get your take on how you might have felt, because I know a lot of men, kind of had posters of you, thought of you kind of as a sex symbol, as sexy, but at the same time, I always felt like you did not use your sexuality, I guess, overtly during the performances. You stood on your vocals and not that you're clearly a very attractive woman, so don't, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying you did not use, I think, a lot of that, even though it was present, it was there, to further your career. I think that is one of the things that makes you kind of unique, in that you really seem to just stand on your performance and what you could do, more so than trying to crank it up maybe another notch or two on the level of bringing sex or sexuality into your performances. How does that relate to you?
What you just said, to me, I think that's more metal, to be natural.
Sure.
And I think metal is so sacred because there's a deep connection between metalheads worldwide. I think when you're into metal, when you understand what it means, it's a whole way of living, it's a whole lifestyle, it's a way of feeling. I think it is so much more than just being sexy or, you know, it's like, I think it's a deep, deep, meaningful thing. And I always, you know, felt that I was never interested. I actually never had any male groupies. The guys in the band, they had so many female groupies and, you know, and girls. But usually, when I was hanging out with the metalheads or with the guys, you know, usually we always gave each other a hug, a really great hug. Like, it was more about, like heart and soul and, you know, and good, powerful metal energy. It was never about sex or something. And, I was never interested in that either. It was like, I mean, I like to dress up, you know, cool. I always liked to dress up in black leather, which now it's not anymore real leather because I love the animals so much, so it's all like fake leather, and I think it looks the same. It's nice. But, I like that leather look. I like to be, you know, I like that tough look, you know, the army soldier on, you know, and I think there's no space for, you know, for anything else, like for the lovey-dovey stuff, even in the tour bus or even when I'm touring with the band and road crew. I think it's very important for a woman that you keep like the friendship and professional level, and that they see me like, you know, we are family, like I'm like their sister and they're all my brothers. Because the minute, you know, somebody, you know, like has an eye on you, that's not good. That's not good. I think that has no place in there. Then everything, you know, goes down the drain because everybody feels maybe left out, or, you know, if there's a couple. I thought with many other bands when I was like a female musician or singer, and when they were falling in love, you know, like maybe with the guitar player or with the drummer, oh God, it was always it was very stressful for the whole band, and sometimes the band broke up because of that. So I think the romantic, loving thing, I think it's not that's not so good. Like putting that into you know, on tour and stuff. And of course,
so that was
love.
That was never a problem for you, I assume.
No, I was always in love with the fans. I must really say, the fans, that is my true love. The music, the metal, and the fans, that means the world to me. You know, I would die for the fans, and I want to do it for the rest of my life because that's the most important thing. Yeah, and anything else I do in another lifetime, maybe. But but I never thought that I want to get married. It never came to that point ever, and it was always going from one record to another, from one tour to another, and you know, and some of my former boyfriends said, "Oh, so you just go." One guy, he said one time when I went to America, he said, "You know what, Doro, I want to have 5 kids." And I said, really? Are you serious? Are you crazy? He said, yeah, I want to have 5 kids. And he said, I give you time. I give you 5 years. And then, you know, then you have to make a decision. And then I was in New York and, you know, working on the next record and stuff. And then suddenly he flew to America and he said, okay, Doro, now it's 5 years. Just, you know, I want to ask you, what is your decision? And I thought, oh my God, I know I break your heart, but the decision is for metal, it's for the fans, and and that was it. But the guy has now 5 kids with another great woman, and so everybody has to live, you know, you have to live your own destiny, and maybe it wasn't meant for me, so. But I love kids. 2 of my band members, they had no kids, which I would have never expected. But my drummer, Johnny G, who's in the band since 1993, he has a little boy. And my guitar player, who's from Italy, he has a little boy as well. And I never thought that anybody would have kids in our band. But they just got 2 little babies, and wow, and I adore them, of course, you know. And
So since you've kind of put yourself into a position where you don't want to have, you know, that type of relationship because of what you do, how do you deal with loneliness? Surely has to be an issue at some point.
It depends. I really actually don't feel lonely. If that would creep up, then I would go back to the studio and I would ask the engineer if the studio is free, if we can do something, or if we can write a new song, or
tour manager, hey, shall we plan the next tour or something? As long as I have something to do which is connected with music or a tour or a band or the fans. I'm doing Patreon now. That's a new thing. I started doing it 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. And then, now I'm in touch with all the diehard fans from all over the world, from Peru, Russia, Japan, America, Canada. It's awesome. And they're like these diehard fans. And so that's great to really have a deep connection, and that's pretty cool. And so I'm definitely not lonely, and I'm here to make people happy. That's what really makes me happy.
Well, you do a great job of that, definitely. With your discography is amazing. Your live performances are just incredible to watch, your vocals are just still in peak performance. Do you have to do things differently? I mean, I don't want to sound rude here, but obviously, you're a bit older than you were when you first started this. Do you have to do certain things nowadays to keep your voice more in shape than maybe you did when you were younger?
No, I don't think so. I think the more you do it, the stronger your pipes are. Like usually after a long tour, the voice is better than when you start a tour. Yes, the muscles and everything is in better shape. So I always try. I do a lot of active things. I love boxing. I do a little bit kung fu on the side. I did eskrima for a little while, so I keep active, and then the voice is always there. In the beginning, in the 80s, after a few years, some people said, well, did you study it, and did you go to university, and did you study vocal, and did you take vocal lessons? And I said, no. And then it bugged me, and I thought, oh man, I definitely want to really learn it. So I took vocal lessons. It was sinfully expensive. And then after about 1 year, the first people said, hey, Doro, can't you sing like you sang before? And I said, what do you mean? I said, it sounded different before. And I thought, okay. And then after 2 years, so many people said, hey, Doro, you do something cool. It sounds different. And what are you doing? And I thought, man, it must have had something to do with my vocal lessons. Now I know how to sing. Now I can tell everybody I took vocal lessons, and it didn't work for me. And then I thought, okay, I quit it after 2 years, and then I sang the same way like I did before. And I guess for professional singers, of course, you probably need training, or when you do classical, of course. But I think for metal and for rock, I think just be yourself and do what you can, and just like go by instinct. I think that's the best way. And but I feel it's still the same. Like this is still the same when I started or now, and I can sing every day 10 hours. It doesn't matter. I never get hoarse, except when I get a bad cold. But usually I can always sing.
Well, your voice is very distinctive, so it's good. It's like I said, I'm amazed. It sounds as strong and powerful as it did, when you were in your 20s. So it sounds fantastic.
It pops out. Especially live when I see the fans, then I can sing 10 times louder and better and more. In the studio, it's not the same. Like live when I see the fans, then everything is like multiplied by 1 million, and and when you feel good, and when you feel powerful, and when it's a great atmosphere, when people are on fire, oh my God, that's the best. That's probably always the best performance, which no studio record could ever capture. That feeling, it needs to be pure, and it needs to be real. You can't fake it, and you can't think about, okay, I think now about the fans that they're screaming along. No, it has to be the real thing. So I think all our live records or live recordings, they're actually, they're the best.
So I'm assuming you put out the new box set, which again I think is spectacular. All the fans out there need to get this. This is really good material to pick up from you, whether they've been a longtime fan or they've just kind of heard bits and pieces. This would be a great place for either person to to start with your box set. I'm assuming with the coronavirus situation that's out there, touring is still quite difficult. So does that mean you're going to progress pretty quickly into recording a new studio album?
Yeah, actually, we postponed everything for next year, early next year, but I don't know, it doesn't look so good, so we're hoping that everything can get back to normal eventually, but if not, then yeah, I'm definitely working more on a new studio album. We have already 6 songs, so there's many more songs to go, but 6 songs are already there. There was one single we put out a couple of months ago. It was called Brick Wall, and we did a video while there was a lockdown. That was like, wow, that was a challenge to do it, but we kind of did it, and yeah, so I definitely want to concentrate on a new album, but I'm dying to get back on the road again, with our little tour bus, and,
Oh, I'm sure, and you did a drive-in performance, which was, pretty cool, that you were able to do that. Considering the situation, you were still able to kind of get a live performance in for people, even though, it's not maybe quite the same with people in their cars, but hey, it's still something. It's still a way to do it.
It looked exactly like the Oh We Are video when, we were filming the Oh We Are video. It was in the LA River Basin where Terminator 2 was filmed, and then we were standing on the tour bus, on top of the tour bus, and everybody was stuck in their cars, and they were kind of frozen. That was the idea. And then through the magic of the Warlock and of metal, they would come to life and would rock out with us. That was like the story. And I tell you, first drive-in show, I hopped on stage. It looked exactly like that, and I felt like, man, is it 1987? It was so surreal, and it was great. And we did many drive-in shows, many autokino shows, because the first one we did, we didn't know what to expect, but I think we made the best out of it. I think everybody had fun, even though they were in their cars and it was like a lot of distance, but it was great. And then someone did a little video clip, like 2 minutes, and I was actually walking into the crowd when we did Oh We Are. I couldn't take it anymore, being so far away on stage. I thought, I want to go down in the crowd. And I really, there was a lot of distance, so it was, safe. And everybody was so happy, and we were singing all together. It was such a great, nice feeling. And somebody filmed it, and we put it on our, Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And in between 2 days, we had, 600,000 views, which we never, ever had ever. And then some people, they saw it, and then they called us and said, hey, I have an autokino show. I have an autokino thing, like a drive-in thing. We never did a concert, but let's try it. And so I did many, many more drive-in shows. And the last show I did was actually a beach chair show, and there were beach chairs in this arena. It was a hockey arena, and everybody could sit in there, 2 people, and they had some beer, something to drink. It was great, and I could hear them because it was nice. And sometimes the drive-in shows, people, they had to stay in their cars, and then you can't hear when they're singing along. But we played some silly games like, let me see you shake your cars, instead of headbanging. And so cars were almost flying, and then, and then they were blinking, and let me see your blinkers on the right side, on the left side. It was it was cool. Everybody felt
you still managed to get audience participation, so that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then everybody was honking the horns after each song, and then usually the cities they said no more honking the horns, otherwise the show has to be that's the end of the show. So sometimes I thought, I hope they're not honking, because that was the most fun. It was so loud. It was like a Manowar concert or Morat concert. It was so loud and nice, but every show was different. Every show had different regulations and different restrictions. But we were so happy that we could do something and connect with our fans and the band and road crew, that everybody had something to do. So it was definitely better than doing nothing. And and keeping this, and that's always good, Yeah.
It was a very unique experience. I mean, it's something people can take away later and say, I even went to a drive-in heavy metal concert, because it's not something that to my knowledge, has really been something that's been done before. So it was really a cool idea.
Yeah, totally. And I heard of some drive-in concerts, but people just showed like the performance or the DVD or the movie. But that was so cool. We were there live, and you could see either us performing and jumping around on stage, or you could have this big screen which looked really impressive, and like the light show and pyrotechnics. Oh man, it was really nice. And so even people from far in the back, they could see, great stuff. And sometimes the sunset was like beautiful. It felt like, wow, it's meant to be. The universe is supporting that. So it was good. But of course, it's not like a normal concert or festival. I definitely, it's different. It's different. I hope it can get back to normal, but it's definitely an option. It's definitely an option and special. And yeah.
Did you get any professional filming of any of these concerts by chance?
Yeah, one time we did because, the festival Wacken, right? You heard of Wacken, right? This
yeah, absolutely.
Wacken. And and when they had to cancel, then they were thinking of doing something that the whole world could still, see Wacken, but it was like they were doing a virtual stage with some bands, and we had actually a drive-in show booked in Stuttgart, and then we had like some professional filming, and then they put it out like on the internet, and it was called Wacken Worldwide, and I think it looked pretty good. And there was not much audience going on, so when you expect all the anthems, that was different, because usually you have 80,000 people singing along, and in the drive-in shows, it was like, you heard a couple of voices, you heard a couple of people totally going nuts, but it was not the same like a normal Wacken, but that was professionally filmed. And then we had one time a streaming. That was the last the drive-in concert, and it was a streaming thing, so I think it was $6, and you could see it, and you could see it for 2 months, and I think that was pretty good. But well,
I know you're the type of person who likes to really interact with the audience. So for your sake and the fans, hopefully we'll see some concerts in the near future if we can kind of get a handle on this pandemic.
Man.
Well, I certainly appreciate you taking all the time out of your busy schedule to talk to us at Excess Rock today, and I will be pushing your box set as a good Christmas gift for most people, because that's
Well, thank you so much for your kindness and for your support, and I hope we see each other soon in concert, and I wish you all the best, and then stay healthy, stay metal. Thank you for supporting metal, and I wish everybody out there the best, and hang in there, keep on rocking, and I hope to see you all very soon, and stay metal.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Doro. You stay safe, and we'll look forward to hopefully getting a new studio album from you soon, and like you said, hopefully we'll see you in concert soon.
Yes, thank you so much, and you're such a great person. I love to talk to you, and I wish you all the best, and your family and friends and all that good stuff, and then have a great rest of the day, and stay well.
You too, absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, bye-bye, Doro.
Bye, tschüss, bye. Ciao.